People go through tough times. Maybe they lose their job, their business is struggling, or they're just trying to trim the fat. One thing is certain, most people, when they're in that state, their mindset is scarcity. They're thinking, what more can I cut? And most people will look at that insurance premium deposit. They'll say, why do I have this? Is that really worth it? Am I really in need of this right now? Because when you go into a scarcity mindset, you don't think straight. So in today's video, what I want to talk about surrendering your policy. I want to talk about the options you have. So instead of surrendering that amazing policy, what you might want to do is try to find a way to keep it so that it does not affect your family's financial future. So let's dive into your options. Surrendering your policy should always be a last resort. Because listen, you've probably heard this before, but maybe when you're in that scarcity mindset, you forget. In the future, every dollar you put into the policy, you will be able to take out more than what you put in. So if you put in $1, you might be able to take out $1.20, or $1 goes in and you take out $1.50. And every single year, it will be more than it was the year before. That's the beauty of compounding interest. So why would you want to give something like that up? Now I get it. You say, well, I don't really have a choice. I don't have the money. My business is suffering. I lost my job. There's a whole bunch of different things that can happen in your life that will result in these hardships, and you're always going to be looking for things to cut. But I'm going to tell you, this asset, your policy that you use for your banking system, should absolutely never be cut from your plan. But let's go into what you can do to ease some of the pressure. Now, listen, I'd be remiss not to talk a little bit about some struggles I've had. I've had those premium bills come, where the premium deposit bill comes in the mail. I open it up and I look at it and I'm like, whoo-hoo, where's that gonna come from? You know, right at the wrong time, they always seem to come, right when the tax bills come, right when you gotta pay all these other things, you get that premium deposit. So let's start with the first option. Let me start with the option that I did. So when I got that premium deposit bill, I didn't have the funds right then and there. So the first thing I did is I thought about, what are my options? And there are many of them. I can reduce my premiums. I can change the mode to monthly, quarterly, semi-annually. I could RPU, or reduce pay up the policy. I could reduce death benefit. But let's talk about what I did. The easiest thing you can always do is just change the mode. You see, that policy for me was an annual premium policy, meaning I made payments or premium deposits. Notice how I got it connected to. You think of it as a payment when you're in a scarcity mindset. I think of it as a deposit. Your premium deposit bill comes at the exact wrong time and you don't have the money to pay. So how about we look at other modes? You could reduce it down to monthly. So now instead of making one big premium deposit, you're making 12 smaller premium deposits. So now you're able to cash flow it. That's what I did. I went down to monthly, and I haven't gone back to annual. Now, some of you might be like, I don't want to do that. It costs more to do monthly. Indeed, it does. But in the grand scheme of things, it means next to nothing when you look at the math. So that's the first option. You could change the mode. So I'm going to write these down on the board. First thing, change premium mode. Okay, that's the easiest. Now, but what other options do I have? If that's not an option for you, well, let's talk about option number 2. There's a thing called paid up additions. I'm just gonna write it right here on the board. Paid up additions. This is that extra money that we build into the policy. This is what makes the policy high early cash value. But as we said from day one, and I'll say it again, that is optional. So if your premiums include paid up additions, which if we designed it, they all do, at a minimum amount of at least 50% of your premium deposit, more likely 75 to 80%. So your range could be anywhere between 50 and 90% of your premium deposits are going into paid up additions. So think about that. If your total premiums okay, we'll just write this here. If your total premium is $10,000, that means your paid up addition portion is anywhere between, I don't know, $9,000 down to as low as $5,000, which means you've got the flexibility to reduce your premium deposits just by reducing the paid up additions. But let me warn you, if you do this, make sure you remember you want to keep the paid up additions alive, which means that is a minimum of $10 per month or $120 a year. Now this varies by insurance company, but that would be the minimum amount of premium deposit you would have to put in to the policy to keep that paid up additions rider active. So if you needed to go through some hard times, some readjusting, and you need to reduce things, great. You can reduce anywhere between 50 and 90% of your premium deposit right here. And as long as you make that minimum $10 a month or $120 a year, you can always just go right back and catch it all up when you get a new job, when your business gets back on track, when finances are available. This is an awesome option because it is not a permanent option. You can reduce it down just like the mode, and you can always go back because the mode and the paid up additions, both of them, you can adjust them anytime you want. You can change it to monthly, go right back to annual. Change it to monthly, go right to semi-annual. The paid up additions, you can reduce it down or cut it right out except for that $10 a month. And then you can go back and make up all those premium deposits when you get a lump sum of money somewhere, okay? So neither one of these are permanent changes. But now let's just talk about some more severe situations. Recently, I had one of my really good clients come to me and they had a similar problem. The husband had lost his job. They had a really good sized premium deposit going in and their policies were performing amazing, but they just didn't have the cash flow. Does this sound familiar to any of you? Do you feel like this sometimes? So here's what they did. We looked at all the options. We looked at changing the mode, reducing paid up additions, but then they wanted something more permanent because they didn't know if his job situation was going to improve. They didn't know if he was going to be able to find another job paying him what his old one did. So they were kind of in complete scarcity mindset, which is okay. They wanted to make sure that they made a change that they could sustain forever. So here's what we did. We looked at the death benefit. Now, in each policy that we build, there is always going to be a death benefit on that policy. So let's just say that death benefit's $1 million, okay? I'm just gonna pick a number because it's easy math. That $1 million has a cost to it, which also drives into whatever the premium amount is that's not going to the paid up additions. We would call that the base. So I'm just gonna write base. So your base whole life premium, which is anywhere between, I don't know, it can be as much as 10% up to, I don't know, 40 to 50%. Okay, that's usually what the base is. This is not a premium that can be changed without a permanent change. The permanent change comes right here to the death benefit. We can go to the insurance company and we can ask them to reduce the death benefit. They're more than happy to do that. The insurance companies would be very thrilled to pay out less the day that you graduate. They really would. So they'd be happy to reduce your death benefit. And if they reduce your death benefit, it would reduce the base portion because maybe we can already reduce the paid up additions, so we can also reduce the base. So what we did is we looked at their scenario and we looked at reducing the death benefit. And we looked at 3 options. What if we reduce it by $200,000, $300,000, $500,000? Yours will be different and specific to you. So we settled on an amount. Let's just say it reduced that death benefit by $500,000, and I'm not using their actual numbers, but by reducing that, we reduce the premium. And when we did that, that was enough for them to sustain their policy. But again, once you reduce it, and I'm just gonna draw a line right here, okay, these can be changed back on the top. These are permanent changes, okay? These are flexible. You can change it and then go right back. Hey, there's another thing that you never wanna forget, and that is to subscribe to this channel. All this content that I put out is for you. But not only that, there's a little bell. Make sure you hit that bell.
Ring the bell.
Ring the bell. And I've been watching some MMA stuff. I haven't been training, but you know, they do this like, hi thing. Let's talk about another option. The fourth option. If you've had your policy for a while, there is an option to do what's called an RPU, which stands for reduce paid up. It's kind of like the third option with the death benefit, but a reduce paid up option allows you to permanently eliminate the premiums forever. Literally, what you're doing with an RPU is you're going to the insurance company and you're saying, hey, listen, I've been paying into this thing for 11 years. I no longer can make premium deposits. I'm retiring. I lost my job. Having difficulties. I just don't want to make premium deposits. I still want to use the policy for the infinite banking concept, but I don't want to make premium deposits. Now, every policy we build, just as a little aside, every policy we build can be RPU'd after the 10th year. Every policy. Which means no matter how your policy is designed, you can RPU it after the 10th year. But in some scenarios, you can RPU the policy prior to the 10th year. Now, what happens when you RPU it? Think of it. What the insurance company is going to do is they're going to do a calculation looking at your total premiums that you have paid into the policy. And then they're going to say, okay, if the total premiums have been paid in, how much death benefit would that have bought in a single premium policy? Meaning a policy that you put money in one time, it bought a death benefit, you never put money in any more times, right? So that's an RPU. The total premium paid in, it gives you a total paid up policy. Now, can you see where the problem with this would be? This is a permanent change. If you RPU your policy, you never again for the rest of your life can put $1 into that policy. Now, remember what I said earlier. Imagine your policy's at a point where every dollar you put in, you get $1.50 back. So in other words, I give you $1, okay? You give me $1.50 back. How many more times do you think I want to give you another dollar? I'm going to literally sit here and I'm going to empty my wallet. I'm just going to say, hey, here's another one. Give me $1.50 back. Here's another dollar. Give me $1.50. That is gone with the RPU option. No more premiums can be put in, which means you are absolutely affecting the performance and the growth of the policy into the future. Not only that, the RPU is almost always going to result in a very significantly reduced death benefit. But in dire situations, this is an option. And I'm just laying all your options out. Okay, let's go to the fifth option. Running out of real estate on this board. The fifth option is not, actually, the fifth option should be up here in the flexible because I'm gonna draw a line. This one I missed, but it is also flexible and it is worth talking about. Every year the insurance company pays you a dividend, okay? It is not guaranteed by the insurance company, but there is not one insurance carrier that we work with that has ever missed a dividend for as long as they've been around. And all the insurance companies we work with have been around longer than 100 years, so they've never missed one in 100 years. I doubt they're gonna miss one in the future. So if you're getting a dividend every single year, that dividend right now, when we build these policies for infinite banking, the dividend is going to buy additional paid up additions. In other words, every dollar from I'm just gonna write dividend down here just so we have that. Okay, so every dollar that you get in dividend is going into paid up additions, which is increasing the cash value and also slowly increasing the death benefit. But let's just say you need some relief. Remember that client I mentioned? We looked at this option. We said, well, hey, your dividend could reduce your premium by quite a bit. We can have your dividend changed, okay? And your dividend can go to reduce premium. And in some cases, it will reduce 100% of the premium deposit. Now, this is a permanent but yet a flexible option. Now, let me explain this. Once you change this dividend option from paid up additions to reducing premium, it's going to do that for a course of a year. You can't just flip it and then flip it back. It's going to literally be a 12-month commitment. So it's flexible, but it's kind of permanent for 12 months. Once you change that, you can always change the dividend back. So you can change it from paying down premiums to now buying paid up additions. So again, I just wanted to kind of give you that one. It's a little bit of a hybrid, but it's a really easy change to make in your policy. And depending on the year you're at, it could definitely make a huge chunk or take a huge chunk away of that premium deposit, which if that's what you're struggling to make, this could be an option. Now, let me kind of summarize some of this for you. I gave you 5 options. Change the premium mode, reduce your paid up additions, reduce your death benefit, You can RPU or reduce pay up the policy depending on the year that you have the policy at, and you can use your dividends to use it to reduce the premium deposits. Okay, those are 5 different options. Now, let me go into overdrive here. You can mix these options. You can do a combination of reducing your paid up additions and reducing your death benefit. You can do a combination of reducing paid up additions and changing the mode, okay? You can do a combination of all, except for RPU. That one's sort of a standalone. So you could change your premium or your dividends to reduce premium. You could reduce the paid up additions. You could do a combination of all of these. But at this point, I want you to understand one thing and one thing very clearly. If you are struggling, if you are thinking about surrendering your policy, I want you to know that there is a 6th option. There is a laundry list, a literal line, longer than I can even see, of people that want to buy your policy. That is absolutely true. Your policy is so valuable. And you should know this, but again, you've gone into the scarcity mindset. Your policy is so valuable that there is literally more people than I can even count that want to buy your policy because they know how it's going to perform in the future. And they're willing to give you a premium. They'll give you more money than what is in cash value in some cases. So now that right there, you could sell your policy. I'm not even going to put it up here as an option because I don't like giving you that option, but it is an option. But the reason I said that and the reason I want you to listen carefully, if somebody is absolutely willing to pay more than what your policy is worth, why would you ever want to give it up? Because if they want to buy it and give you extra money for it, do you think they know something you don't know? No, you should know exactly what they know. They know that in the future, when they put money in, they're going to take more out than what they put in. They understand compounding interest. So therefore, just because there's somebody that will buy your policy, that should tell you that you should keep your policy. So here's the steps. You want to do one of these options. You want to look at your options. You're going through some hard times. That's the reason I'm making this video. Pick the phone up and call us. Email us. You can do either one. You can go to themoneymultiplier.com, and over there in the resources, you can log into your account. You can see exactly who your money mentor is and exactly who your implementation specialist is. Maybe you don't want to go through all that. Great. Shoot us an email. You can email me at chris@themoneymultiplier.com, and I'll make sure you get put with your money mentor to find solutions. Listen, we're real serious about helping you keep your policy because we understand the value that that policy has for your family's financial future. Because if you have one of these policies, that thing is so valuable. Not only that, that provides protection so that if something ever happens to you, your family will be taken care of when you're no longer here. So you can see this policy should never make it on your list of things to cut. This policy should be the one thing that you fight for, the one thing that you say, I'm gonna figure out how to keep this thing, and we are there to support you in that decision. We will help you understand your options so that you don't have to give up one of the best foundational assets you will ever own. Folks, thanks for joining me. Hey, listen, if you liked this video, you're gonna wanna watch this one right here because maybe you've forgotten how good this policy is. Check this video out and we'll see you on the next one.